Hi everybody, John McElroy here at the Intrepid Controls SDV Social. I've got Partha Goswami here. He's a consultant who's an expert in the whole software-defined vehicle realm. Partha, I was really interested on your take in the panel discussion before talking to you here that, all the automakers are struggling with software-defined vehicles.
Right.
One of the things that you hit on that really rang true with me is organizational structure at the legacy companies. They've got their siloed ways of developing vehicles, which work beautifully well for a century. With software-defined vehicles, not so much right now.
Right.
What do you do if you're a legacy automaker to try to get around this? I mean, do you start a skunk works or do you reorganize your existing engineering organization?
Yeah, I think of course the skunk work is only a small, it can be only a part solution, because obviously at the end of the day, whatever you do in your skunk work, you have to scale up.
It's got to go back into the
right. So I think what you need to do is shift your organization from this silo mentality, meaning I need all the teams together, okay, to do something. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say if you want to make some changes in your turn signal, a very simple basic function. Previously, it's just on, you just click it and it happens, right? Today, if you do that, you have to make sure it is connected to your ADAS system. Okay, it's connected to a host of other systems that has to be factored in the programming of that change. If you want to make a change, you have to consider all that. Second example I'll give you, and which I think many of your audience will be very familiar with, it's the level 2 driving, okay? Super Cruise, Blue Cruise, whatever, right? They all have a camera, okay, inside the car.
Right.
The purpose of the camera is one, which is to basically to track the driver and make sure that he or she is, looking and paying attention, all that. The same camera can have 5 other applications inside the vehicle, okay? And are we kind of leveraging that single phone for all these multiple functions? Typically not, but that's one example where we can say, hey, let's find out what are other 5 applications, bring all the right teams together, and let's think about it. So that's kind of one example where you can start changing the mindset. Again, organization and mindset are all tied together.
Right. I mean, you almost sound like you're saying everybody should just get in one room and work together.
In a large scale, yes. I need to have an appreciation of the fact that the system, an individual system, is no longer isolated from each other. And that's the idea of the central compute we are talking about, which is going to support all these other functions without a cross-functional mindset. Mm-hmm. And I would emphasize that cross-functional mindset. We are not going to be able to transition to this new SDV paradigm.
Yeah. You gave us a couple of examples there. I mean, what advice would you give to legacy automakers or even legacy suppliers of, here's a first step that you can start taking right now? I mean, you don't want to change everything overnight or try, right? Wouldn't it be smarter to start with something simple and easy and start growing from there, or what do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. You cannot overnight become like one of those new energy vehicle car companies, because after all, they only have few programs to manage. Whereas for a large car company, whether it's Toyota, Ford, GM, whatever, they have 20, 30 programs at any given time. So you cannot take all of that in one shot. So I would say start from one subsystem, maybe of one particular program, but make that a completely cross-functional project rather than the traditional, linear, the traditional vehicle development process that we go through. I think instead of a skunk work, which we can do something later, let's work on a live program. But the live program should have all these flavors that can make the future car a true software-defined car.
Yeah. I love what you're saying, Partha. I really like your advice there, and want to thank you for your time.
I appreciate it. And I really enjoyed this conversation, because I personally think this is the biggest transition that the auto industry, which is a 100-year-old industry, is going through right now. And I think it's bigger than anything else I have personally seen in my entire 30-year career. So I really hope that the industry makes the transition as smoothly as possible.
I would agree. The biggest transition I've ever seen in my observation of the
Which
industry.
is much longer.
And as somebody who loves the history of the industry, I can tell you I don't think there's ever been a bigger transition.
Yes, I agree. You have a much longer history in your line of sight.
Yeah.
I have a much smaller one, but I see the same thing.
Well, good. Thanks, Partha.
Thank you.